Okay, good evening. We're going to talk tonight about the issue of the mitzvot that are pertinent for this time of the year. Right now, we're coming into Zecher Lemachatzit Hashekel, we're coming into Parashat Zachor, and we're coming into Purim, obviously, right? All these things. So we have to know what to do, how to do, right? So we're going to give maybe try to give at least two classes on that. So this way, we can cover everything that's pertinent to the season. Okay, so the first thing, right, we're going to talk about is the Parashat Zachor, because it's coming up now, this Shabbat, right? This coming Shabbat. So the way it works like this, right, that the Haftarah is going to be read, the Maftir who's going to go up, he's going to read Parashat Zachor, right? So they say that the Shulchan Aruch says that two of the Parshiot that we read throughout the year, especially this month, in Chodesh Adar, and the month of Adar, which is the month of Simcha, right? We're supposed to be happy this time. So they say two of them are Deoraita from the Torah. The rest of the Torah readings are all from the rabbis. What does that mean? All throughout the year, right? Whatever we write, whether it's on Shabbat, on Mincha, on also Monday and Thursday, all these things. These are all rabbinical, right? The only ones which are really from the Torah are these two. What does that mean? Parashat Zachor and Parashat Paraduma. When are we reading them? Now, right? This week we're reading Zachor, and then we're going to take a break for the next week, and then we're going to read Paraduma, right, the week after. That's the way it's going to be, right? So these two are from the Torah. What does that mean? You can't miss it, right? Make sure you come. Make sure you come on time also, right? Everything has to be done, appropriately, right? So what does that mean? Make sure you get here at least, right, before during the Torah reading. Because, okay, let's say if you missed the middle of the beginning of the Torah reading, you still can catch the end, which is the most important part over here, right? Because what's going to be is that the first 7 readers are going to read the Parsha Shavua, the regular Parsha of the, right? And then the Maftir will come, instead of repeating what we read in the Parsha Shavua, which we do every week. So now we're going to read Parashat Zachor, right? It's going to be a separate Sefer Torah, right? 2 Sefer Torah coming out, right? So this one that we're going to read, it's going to be from the Torah, this one. So make sure, right, everything is done properly, everything with all the details, with all the halakha. So what are the halachot of Parashat Zachor, right? What are the things that we have to know? Right, first of all, the important thing is, right, that we have to remember why is this mitzvah so important? Because we have to remember what Amalek did, right? As the Chazal say, Amalek did something really, really bad to Am Yisrael, right? Kiruat Ambatya, what it says, right? Yeah. What does that mean? That they came and they attacked the Jews before everybody else. Before everybody else came in the Midbar, they were the first ones who attacked. So what does that mean? Why are they worse than anybody else who attacked? There was also others who attacked, right? Canaanim, this nation, that nation, all kinds of nations. So why are they the worst? There was also Midian, there was also Moab, right? All kinds of things. They all did all kinds of hostile activities against us. So why are they singled out to be the worst, Amalek? Because they're the ones who came first and initiated, this ritual. What does that mean? That before that, all the Goyim were scared. They said, we can't touch these Jews. You see, God is with them. He took them out of Mitzrayim. They have divine providence. They have all these things, right? So don't mess with these people. You know what I mean? God is with them. You're gonna mess with them, you're gonna be in big trouble. So therefore, they said, right? We're not gonna mess with them. The best we can do is maybe just to make some contingency plans. What's gonna be, right? If they're gonna come and attack us, we have to prepare for whatever there is. But right now, until we get to that point, we're not gonna do nothing. Right? Just wait and see, and wait and we'll see what happens. So what happened was Amalek was a chutzpah, right? He had the chutzpah to come and attack. So what does that mean? It says the Ramchal, by the way, the Ramchal HaKadosh. He says that there's such a thing like this as a person who's mahul, right? What does that mean? He's circumcised, right? He has brit milah. So a person who has brit milah, like the Jewish people, what does that mean? That this helps them to recognize God, to be close to Hashem. It's a special brit, it's a special right covenant between us and Hashem. Okay, fine. So what that means is that we are the people who are close to Hashem and we bend our will to do His will. So this is like a mahul, a person, this is a mentality of mahul, right? There's not only the flesh, right?
This is the reason also why Moshe Rabbeinu he don't go to fight against Amalek. He sent only Yoshua.
Right.
Because Moshe Rabbeinu nolad Maul.
Oh.
So if אתה נולדת Maul,
there
is no way you can fight with Amalek.
That's very interesting. Where did you see this, Perush? Where did you see this?
I have one of the books in the house.
Okay, interesting. Let me know where that's written. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, interesting. So now, right, comes and
Ma'ul means not circumcised.
Circumcised, right? Mahul, right? Milah, right?
Right.
So a person who's circumcised, his tendency is to be more aware of God, to be close to God, to be in touch with God, right? But that's also a personality trait, a character trait as well. It's called, right? Mahul belev. He's circumcised in the heart also. You know what I mean? Because the heart also can have like a quality of not being circumcised, just the opposite, right? What do you call that? Arel. Arel means a person who's not circumcised, meaning what? That his personality is also like that. He doesn't recognize God, doesn't care about God. He ignores it. Not only ignores it, he fights against it also. Has the chutzpah to go against even. Doesn't care about it. Doesn't disregards. A total disregard. For this kind of thing. This is called arel. It's also personality as well as what happens in the flesh itself, right? So a person who's arel lev, he's uncircumcised in his heart. That means that he totally disregards God, disregards all these things about God, about his statutes, about his laws, everything. Okay. So says the Ramchal, right, that the Mahul is Am Yisrael. We know, right, the circumcised ones. We know who they are. What about the Arel? Who's the Arel? Who's the epitome, right, character of the Arel? This is Esav, right? Esav is Arel. He's also Arel Lev. He's uncircumcised in his heart as well. Right? So what does that mean? That they have this disregard for God, like they don't care about it. Yeah, you guys, you have your religion. We have also our religion, it's just the opposite of what you say. You know what I mean? We don't care about you. We have the chutzpah to be just the opposite of you. We don't care about that. So it says in the Ramchal that Esav is the Arel of this world, right? The Mahul is right. Actually, right. It's the Chazal say that he didn't get circumcision, right? There's one midrash that says he wasn't circumcised. Esav, right? What was the reason why? Because when he was born, they say, right, that he was jaundiced. You know what that means? He was yellow, right? That's called tzahevet in Hebrew, right? Tzahevet, right? Tzahov. So they couldn't circumcise him because of that. He was, you know what I mean? So what happened was that they didn't circumcise him when he was born, and then when he grew up, he himself did not want it. And he said, "No, I don't want that." He refused. Right? Can you imagine? Arel, he's an uncircumcised person.
I mean, jaundice is first 8 days, 2 weeks.
Right.
Goes away.
Right. Yeah, usually goes away. That's true. But it seems like he had a condition. He had a condition where he couldn't be circumcised until he was already cognizant of what he was doing. You understand? This is not usually what happens by us. You're right. It's not usually the situation. One of my sons was like this also. One of my sons was born. And they told me he's yellow, so they tested him. They did a blood test, and we had to wait like a few days before we did. Right? What can you do? That's the way it was. But right, Esav, once he got to the point where he knew what was going on, he didn't want to become circumcised. That was the whole thing, right? That's one midrash. There's also another midrash that says that he was circumcised. Machloket, different, whatever. So the point is, right, but nevertheless, though, even though Esav, right, whether you want to say he was circumcised in the flesh, but in his heart, he's not circumcised. You understand? This is the problem with Esav. He's totally Arel Lev, right? He disregards the God, disregards the Torah, disregards the holiness, fights with it, goes against it. But the Ramchal says like this, right? That even though Esav is the Arel of this world, right? He's Ava Tuma. He's the epitome of the Tuma. But the Amalek is the Avi Avot Shel Tuma. He's like the worst of the worst. You know what I mean? That's Amalek. That's a part of Esav, right? Because Amalek was the grandson of Esav. That's what he was, right? Eliphaz was the son of Esav, and Amalek was the son of Eliphaz, right? So this is all one big family. But Amalek is like the epitome of uncircumcised heart. A person who disregards, holiness, doesn't care about it, comes and fights against it. Chutzpah, such a thing like that. So this was Amalek, you understand? They came out, they didn't care, they disregarded. So the point was, right, that to disregard this was not so easy. Why? Because the Jews were being guarded by the clouds of glory. You know what I mean? Ananiya Kabod. So how can you go in there and fight with them? You can't even get in there. You think Amalek could get in there? They couldn't get in there. Just like any other nation can't get in. Also, they couldn't get in. So what they did was, basically, when they came, they were fighting only the people who were outside. You understand? There was people who were rejected from the clouds because of their sins. They did all kinds of sins, all kinds of things, whatever. A person, when he sins heavily, right, heavy sins, which like Isur Karet, things which cut you off from the Jewish people, like breaking Shabbat or things like this. So he's outside of the clouds. This is what happened, So they were really only fighting with them. They couldn't get inside there. So what happened was that Moshe Rabbeinu told to Yeshua, go out and fight with them. Leave the clouds and go fight because they're not going to fight inside over there. No, nothing's going on there. Everything is peaceful over there. It's outside you have to make the fight. Okay, whatever. So Amalek has this, disregard for Hashem. So they say, right, that the truth is that until Amalek is destroyed, HaKadosh Baruch Hu cannot build his kingdom in this world, because this is the antithesis of what the kingdom of Hashem is. They fight against it. They don't allow it to be established. Their existence doesn't allow.
But yet, on the other hand, it was the punishment for those Jews who were not observant. They were kicked out of the cloud, so Amalek came and picked them
Right.
up.
Yeah. Right. You know what they say, right? When a person kills somebody, they say about him, right? They say, okay, this person was supposed to die, but why did you have to be the shliach? Why did you have to kill him? Let somebody else do it. What's it to you? You have to be the shliach. You have to be the one who kills him. That's your choice. You have free will. So this is the answer to that question, right? Whatever. The fact that you're the one who decided to be the shliach, you're the one who decided to be the bad boy, right? So it's your fault. Okay, whatever. So we got the idea, right? So Kadosh Baruch Hu therefore tells us, right, to read this every year. Why? Because we have to remember to uproot Amalek. This is the idea, What does that mean? The truth is, right, to be honest with you, the poskim say there's still a mitzvah today to uproot Amalek. Some rabbis, say some drashot, they try to soften it up a little bit. But the truth is, they don't know the truth. That's not the truth. They try to say today there's no mitzvah to kill Amalek. It's only in your heart, whatever. It's not true. It's not true. There's a mitzvah to kill Amalek even today. This mitzvah never goes away.
Don't know he's Amalek.
Oh, okay. So that's the idea, right? We don't know who's Amalek. This is the problem, right? But if you find out who is, so it's mitzvah to kill him, right?
Genealogy.
So I heard from some rabbis that the Europeans, the Ashkenazi Jews, they have a tradition about this, by the way. How do you know if a person is Amalek? Because they were living with Amalek. In Europe, all the Amalek was over there. You know what I mean? All the Amalekim, the pogroms, all these things, all over there. These Amalekim. Who are they? In Europe, they're Europeans. So they had a tradition about how do you identify somebody who's Amalek? What's the sign? So they said there's two things, right? One is that he's very fastidious about his appearance. Every detail is very perfect. Nothing out of place. Not even one thread.
Like
Everything, right, exactly. It's very Germanic kind of a behavior, right? It doesn't mean, by the way, to be honest with you, it doesn't mean that all the Germans are Amalek. It's not true. This is not true. There was Amalek over there. There is some Amalek. But Amalek is everywhere, They're in every country. It's like they're all over the place. So the Germans, but the Germans have this quality of being like very fastidious, whatever. Or, in Austria, you also find this kind of behavior, You also find it in America, by the way. You find people who are like that, So that's one thing, right? That he's everything is like perfect. His shoes are polished. His clothing, everything, Everything in place. Nothing, not one hair, sticking out. Everything is perfect. This guy probably spends 3 hours a day, looking at himself in a mirror, to see everything. Otherwise, how can he be so perfect like that? That's one thing. By the way, that's not so bad, this quality. It's not such a bad quality to be like that. This is not the problem. The problem is that we have also the other quality, right? This is the bad part of it. The bad part is, have a seat. You can join us, by the way, if you like. Have a seat. Have a seat. Yeah.
You need something, man?
Yeah, I just was wondering, the mikveh is closed?
No, the mikveh is under construction.
Oh.
It's closed. Okay.
So, as we said, right, that's not so bad. So then what's the bad? The bad is that he also has a burning hatred for Jews. You know what I mean? When you mention Jew, it starts to get red. It gets upset, you can see the guy's like totally loses his composure. Jews! When a person behaves like this, he can't hold himself when he hears the Jews. The hatred is so great. He can't hold himself. When you see these two things, they say, right, this is Amalek, this person. This is Amaleki, right? Okay, that's interesting. It's an interesting idea, right? Whatever.
So you're not Amalek in America.
Maybe so. There's also a lot of good people in America, to be honest with you. Right. It's unbelievable. It really is, right? So this is Amalek. Amalek is the antithesis of holiness, against God. You're God, you're here. I don't care. I'll fight with you right now. You know, why is it, by the way, that they have the chutzpah to do such a thing like this? What gives them this power, chutzpah? You know why? Because they're attached to the other side. They're attached to Satan. That's their power source. The power source that they come from is the Satan. So therefore, they also have their power. You know what I mean? So that's why they disregard, because they say, listen, I don't go on that side. I go on the other side, but there's also a lot of power over there. Don't worry. I'm good.
So Rabbi Michael,
Yeah.
one thing I don't understand. If it's like that,
Yeah.
why we can accept Ger from Amalek,
Yeah.
from Ammon and Moab, we don't accept.
Right. The truth is, that in the Gemara they already talked about this, right? Regarding if we accept today ger from Amalek, ger from So today we do accept. You know what I mean?
No, from
This is the
Amalek.
rule, right? It doesn't matter
From
who.
Ammoni and Moabi, we don't
Right.
accept.
I'll explain to you what I mean. It's like this, right? There's a discussion in the Gemara about this, like this. The discussion goes like this, right? There's Rabbi Yoshua and Rabbi Eliezer, right, over there in the Gemara. So one says, right, that we don't take also today. We don't take ger Moab, Moavi, Mitzri, right?
How can you identify that?
That's the question, right? That's all the
let's say
conclusion. Let's say if you know, right? You know, right?
Joshua is Amaleki and you want to be a Jew.
So Amalek we
So-
accept, the Moab and the other guy we don't accept.
Right. So comes the other opinion and says, but today they're all mixed up. Why? Because Sancherib came, right,
Yeah,
and mixed up all the nations. So we don't know who they are today. This is the problem, So how are you going to identify who's Moavi, who's Ammoni, who's Amaleki? We don't know these things. So therefore, what's the halacha? Right? The halacha is like this opinion that we accept everybody. Why? Because the majority are not from these people. We go according to the majority. The majority is kosher. So we
If
accept
you
them.
Somebody, and in the really his history is from Moab,
Right.
so you have a problem like that.
Right, but the thing is like this, right? That he may be history from Moab doesn't mean that he's Moavi. Could be that there's a different nation over there, was moved over there. You know what I mean? That's what the Sancherib did. He moved places from place to place like this.
So practically it's impossible.
He relocated.
To find out. It's impossible to backtrack.
Right. At this point in time, it's impossible. At this point in time, it will become possible later on. You know what I mean? That later on, as things become more clarified, whatever, that may be possible. But today, it's not possible. So the truth is, right? There's also some who say that regarding ger from Amalek, right? Depends if it's the mother from Amalek or the father from Amalek, right? They say if the father is from Amalek, we don't accept him. But if the mother is, we accept him. Why is that, by the way? What's the reason why? Because the goy goes according to the father. The lineage of the goy goes according to, not like the mother. So therefore, right, if his mother is Amaleki, we accept him. Why? Because his father is let's say, I don't know, he's from Greece, right? Yavani, whatever. So that's fine. That's cool. We take that. So it depends on which side is up from Amalek. That's the idea. Okay, whatever. So anyway, the point is, right, that Amalek, HaKadosh Baruch Hu told us that there's a war, right, that he mixed with Amalek. By the way, the truth is, today, as we said, right, we don't know who's really Amalek. We can't identify them. And even if we do, right, even if we were smart enough to identify, let's say some of us are, right, let's say we talk about these signs, whatever things, right, all these things. Okay, you're really smart, you can identify, but who's going to let you kill him? You're going to go to jail, right? They're going to put you in jail. It's a danger of going to jail. Well, you're going to spend your whole life in prison because you killed Amaleki. Is it worth it? You're going to lose all your Torah and mitzvot for one stupid, one Amaleki. There's 1,000 of them, billion of them that you didn't kill. So what is going to help you, right? To kill one Amaleki. So the truth is, right, that you know what it is? In the Psukim, there's two different Psukim over there, right, regarding this Amalek. One says that you have to kill Amalek to make a war with them. The other pasuk says, I will make a war with them. Hashem says, I will wage a war with Amalek. I have a war with them, right? Midor dor, right, from every generation. So why you or him? So you know what Hashem is telling you? That if you can't do it, let's say, right, because you're living in a generation like this, you can't do it. So then I will do it. Don't worry, you have somebody to do your job. You just do your job, right? So what is the job that we're doing, right? Number one is first of all that we're reading to remember, right, this mitzvah. So fine, right? Since it's from the Torah, so everybody has to come and hear it, right? The great discussion is regarding the women, right? Are they obligated to come in and to hear it or not, right? So the truth is that there's two opinions over there, right? There is one Sefer HaChinuch that says, Sefer HaChinuch, by the way, is a Rishon. He's from the old school, from the earlier authorities, which have more authority than the later ones. You know what I mean? So therefore, even though we're not really sure who he is, this guy, some say it was Rabbi Aaron HaLevi, because it says he was a Levi, it says in the book, right? He was a Levi. He was living in Barcelona, and he was a Levi, but it doesn't say his name, who he was, right? So some say it was Rabbi Aaron HaLevi, right? The Ra'ah. That's how Rashi Tevot, right? The abbreviation. Ra'ah. There was also, he had a brother also, this rabbi. Some say it was his brother, or some say it was him, whatever. Okay, we're not really sure who it was, but the point is that since he was a Rishon, so he's very authoritative. So what he says is something interesting, right? He says that women are not obligated to come to hear the Parashat Zachor, even though it's from the Torah. So what's the reason why? So we have to understand a little bit, right? What the idea is. First of all, one thing is like this, right? We have a rule in the Torah. Mitzvah taseh she'azman grama nashim peturot, right? What does that mean? That if it's a time-bound positive mitzvah, so women are exempt from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what does that mean? For tefillin, for kriyat shema, for tzitzit, all these things are positive mitzvot, which are time-bound, so therefore women are exempt. Why are they exempt? What's the reason why? You know why? Because they have to take care of their family. You know what I mean? The women have a job to raise their children, to keep to do the laundry, to do the dishes, and to take care of the home, basically. You know what I mean? To run the house. So since they have this mitzvah of running the house, how are they going to do both? Right? They're going to be both a man's job and a woman's job. They're going to do both of them. Too hard, Who can do such a thing? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, listen, I'm going to give you a break. One job is enough for you, right? To take care of your family. Now I'm not going to give you another job. Also to be like a man, right? Go and put tefillin, go to the minyan, right? Go and put tzitzit, go don't do kriyat shema, all these things. I tell you, you don't have to do any of these things. You want to pray at home. You don't have to come to the shul. Right? We talked about that, right?
Yeah.
That lady.
Yeah.
Remember we talked with that lady, that nice lady that you met, right? So all these things are time-bound positive mitzvot. So the question is, what about Parashat Zachor, right? Is that also like a time-bound positive mitzvah? So the answer is really no, according to most opinions. Okay, it's positive, right? What does that mean positive? You have to actively do something. It's called positive, right? Mitzvah aseh. Okay, fine. But it's not really time-bound, they say, right? What does that mean it's not time-bound? That you can say it all year round. There's no time for it. In other words, it doesn't say in the Torah to say it before Purim or before Pesach or after Pesach, or it doesn't say anything like that. No such a thing like that. So where do we learn this thing from, to say it before Purim? Because the rabbis made this gezerah, right? They made a gezerah, they made a decree that we should do it before Purim. Because of the whole,
Connection.
right, exactly. It's all connected, right, as you said. So therefore we got to read it the Shabbat before. And we also have Tanit Esther, right, coming up as well, before Purim, the day before Purim, right? So Tanit Esther is also, that's the day where the accusation against the Jews is strong. That's why we fast on that day, to take away the accusation. What does that mean? The accusation that Haman and Rasha wanted to obliterate the Jews, he was supposed to do it at that time, right? You know what I mean? So the question is, why? What's the reason why? What's the reason? So he drew lots, to Haman. He drew lots, and he saw that this was the best time to do it. You know what I mean? He was a magician, this guy. He was a sorcerer. So he drew lots. He knew how to do that stuff. So he drew lots, and he found that this is the best time to do it. So therefore, they said, we're going to do them right there. We're going to do them. This is the time we're going to do it. So this is the reason why we fast on the day before Purim, to take away the kitrug, right? The accusation that's against us.
But when is Purim the first Megillah? Wednesday night or Thursday night?
Wednesday night.
Wednesday night.
Not Thursday morning.
Thursday.
Right, that's for us, right? But for Jerusalem, it's the next day, right? Jerusalem, yeah. Because it's a walled city, right? When they have a walled city, yeah.
They said when the Mashiach will come, all the holidays will disappear, but
Right.
Purim will stay.
Right.
If Purim will stay, the Ta'anit also will stay?
No, for sure not. You know why? Because the accusation will not be in those times. The accusations will not be.
There will be no Ta'anit.
There'll be no Taniot Bichlal, right? No
But they
Taniot,
said
right?
Purim will stay.
It's a good question about Yom
Purim
Kippur,
and
but okay, Yom Kippur, that's interesting. But I'll tell you, to be honest with you, how do I know this? I'll tell you how do I know that's going to be all canceled? Because they say, right, that during the Beit Sheni, this question was also asked when they rebuilt the second temple. They asked the rabbis at that time, right, should we fast again, all these fasts that we were doing in the Galut, in the exile? So the prophet told them, no, once you build the Beit HaMikdash, don't do any of these
Which
fasts
prophet
anymore.
said that?
This was, there was 3 prophets at the time, right? Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi, right? Those were the 3 prophets. They asked them about these things, right? I don't remember who it was exactly. They asked, and the answer was no. They had a Beit Din also, right? Ezra,
In
Beit
the
Din.
second Beit HaMikdash, there was no.
They were not doing these 4 Taniyot that we do. They were not doing, right?
Wow.
For sure, they're not doing Tisha B'Av, right? What to do Tisha
Tisha
B'Av?
B'Av,
It's
yeah.
the Beit Hamikdash is built, right? For what
Yeah,
to do?
yeah.
You understand? So all these Taniyot were suspended at that time. You understand? Because the Beit
But the
Hamikdash is
Kippur-
built for what to do Taniyot.
But the Kippur was on or not?
Yom Kippur for sure is on, because that's from the Torah. That's something else, right?
No, in the second Beit HaMikdash.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yom Kippur is forever, right? I mean, but now the question is it forever? So the truth is, right, that once Mashiach comes, you know what I mean, and once the Galut is finished, you know what I mean. So probably Yom Kippur will also be abolished.
But I hear today, I learned today.
Yeah.
The rabbi said,
Yeah.
Purim and Yom Kippur will
Yeah.
stay.
Well,
The other
regarding
ones,
regarding
Sukkot,
Purim,
Pesach,
right,
everything.
right. Regarding Purim, to be honest with you, it says that it will stay. Regarding Yom Kippur, does not say that.
No?
No, it does not say. If you can find me a source, I always look for a source. If you can find it, bring it over. We'll check it out.
I hear
Yeah.
today the Arab Meir Eliyahu.
Yeah.
You know Arab Meir
Yes.
Eliyahu? He said, I hear his drasha today.
Yeah.
He said that Kippur and
Yeah.
Purim will stay.
Right. So the truth is that
The other ones,
I would like to
everything
get a
will
source
cancel.
for that because I'll
He
tell
brings
you.
the source. He brings the source. He always brings source.
Right. But I'll tell you why it doesn't make sense that Yom Kippur will stay. One, the whole point of right, exactly.
Everybody will.
Everybody's holy.
Right. So I'll explain to you what that means, right?
From what I heard, three
Yeah.
holidays.
Yeah.
Purim is one, Hanukkah and something else.
No, it's a Hanukkah, no. No Pesach, no
Three.
Hanukkah,
And Sukkot.
no Sukkot.
Okay, guys.
Abraham, okay.
Now there are several opinions regarding this. Also, there's different sources also as well. But to be honest with you, let's take a look at what we're talking about, right? What we're dealing with here, and I'll explain to you why it doesn't seem to be right. What he said, this rabbi, because what's going to be right when Mashiach comes? When Mashiach comes, there's going to be Milchemet Gog and Magog. There's going to be the war of Gog and Magog, right? And at that time, the Yetzer Hara is going to be abolished. Once the Gog and Magog is finished, there won't be any Yetzer Hara, right? So if there's no Yetzer Hara, there's also no sins. So then what do you need Yom Kippur for? You know what I mean? What's the point of Yom Kippur? So maybe what he means to say, this rabbi, is that Yom Kippur will be turned into like a happy day. That's maybe possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense. You understand? But it's not going to be Tzom Yom Kippur. That's not going to be. No.
But
Fasting, no.
But they said that also when Mashiach will come,
Yeah.
Olam keminago inag.
Oh.
If Olam keminago inag,
Uh,
how it's...
Okay.
To me also,
Okay, so this right, you guys got me to some interesting questions. So let's answer them. Okay, whatever. So right, so what's the idea, right? This concept what he mentioned, it's in the Rambam written down, right? The truth is, it's also in the Gemara as well. What does that mean? It's a conflict. I'll explain. It's a machloket between Rav and Shmuel, right? Rav says when Mashiach will come, the Geulah, so it's going to be miracles and different worlds. It's a different kind of world, different rules. The rules of nature will be abolished, suspended. This, by the way, has the support also from the Navi, right? The Navi says that the lion will dwell with the lamb. They're not going to be attacking anymore the animals, eating, tearing apart animals to eat. That's all going to be abolished. Why? Because this comes from the Yetzer Hara, this whole thing. You know what I mean? They also have Yetzer Hara, the animals. So this is their Yetzer Hara, that they kill each other. So once the Yetzer Hara will be abolished, the animals will not kill each other. That's what Rav says. You know what I mean?
But really, this is not so true. You know why?
Uh-huh.
Lion, if he's not hungry, he will never attack another animal.
It's true.
Attacking animal for two reasons: or he's hungry,
Yeah.
or he's thinking that he's in danger.
Right, but the truth is, right, that
So it's not Yetzer Hara, it's a life instinct.
it is Yetzer Hara. You know why? Because there are also animals who are hungry, but they don't attack another animal. They go eat and they eat leaves. They eat from the tree.
Yeah, but some
You know who eats from? I'll tell you, right? Who's the strongest animal, right? Is anybody stronger like the elephant? The elephant eats only leaves.
Yes.
They don't eat it. They don't eat meat.
Yes.
They're not carnivores.
Because Hashem
So you
created
don't really
them.
need. Yeah, you don't really need. So the truth is, the Chazal say that what the animals they kill each other. This is the Yetzer Hara. This is the Yetzer Hara. So what does that mean, right? That it says in Ishayahu, in the prophet Ishayahu, that they will dwell with each other, right? The wolf and the keves and what does that mean? A snake. The snake will be playing. Who'll be playing with the snake? The children. It will be babies. Will be playing with snakes. Pythons. Who swallow them. You know what I mean? They'll be playing with them. They won't be attacking them. They're not going to swallow the babies. They're not going to swallow anybody.
So all the animals will be vegetarians.
Right. Exactly. Right. Yes. Okay. So now let's understand that. Right. What does that mean? So according to Rav, there's going to be a different world. natures are going to change. According to Shmuel, Olam keminhago noheg, right? What does that mean? Nothing will change. It's the same world. It's just that it's going to be orderly world, nice world, beautiful world, everything, morality, Torah, lots of mitzvot, everything good. Baruch Hashem, the right way, the proper way. Everybody's serving Hashem, but everything will be normal. The laws of nature will be in place. Okay, so this is the machloket, right? What's the halacha, by the way? Yeah. When there's machloket, you have to have also halacha. Right. So, the question is, right, is there really halacha over here? Because this is something in the future. It's in the future. Okay, so what's the halacha? Okay, so the Rambam comes, right, in the laws of Melachim, Hilchot Melachim. Who does he go like? Rav or Shmuel? He goes like Shmuel, right? Oh. So what does he say? It's Olam Kemin Hagonahek. It's going to be like normal, everything. No, right? So what happened with Rav? But we say, Elu ve'elu divrei Elohim Chaim, right? They're all both the words of Hashem. Mm-hmm. So when is Rav going to apply? If the Rambam is right, what's going to be with Rav? He's going to be disappear from the world. What's going to be with him, right? So you know what the answer is? The answer is, right, it says the Gaon of Vilna. He answers it very nicely. The truth is, right, the Mikubalim also, the Kabbalists argue with the Rambam. They say it's going to be a lot of miracles. It's going to be a different world. Everything against nature, above nature. So also here we have two different opinions. So comes the Gaon of Vilna and settles the score, right? What does he say? He says what the Rambam is talking about, Mashiach ben Yosef, right? When Mashiach ben Yosef will come, everybody will be like normal. Everything will be normal. When Mashiach ben David comes, he says, then it's going to be above nature. It's going to be different periods, That's the way the Gaon of Vilna answers it. You understand? Interesting, right? So, okay, interesting, right? But this, by the way, this is also,
About the Mashiach ben Yosef, they said they want to kill him.
Oh, that's also another thing, right?
How it's going to affect the situation.
Right. So let me tell you something a little bit about the Zohar Kadosh, what it says about these things, right? What does it say? First of all, I want to tell you, the Zohar Kadosh says that there's going to be different periods, right? Once the Mashiach comes, Mashiach ben Yosef, Mashiach ben David, and then you're going to have also, after that, different periods as well, like more elevation. The world is going to go up, become more spiritual, less physical. The body will become purified. Even the lower parts of the body, which are now not pure, right? Impure. They're tameh, right? The genitals, all these things, right? They're not pure now. Right? We have tumah over there, right? So what does that mean? That says the Zohar Kadosh, as time goes on, once Mashiach comes, the whole body will become pure. Everything will become pure. We're going to be sanctified more and more high, more and more high. So we're going to be going level by level up, adraga. Mm-hmm. As time goes on, it's going to be more and more and more and more and more and more. So we're going to become, in the end, like very spiritual beings. What does that mean? In the end, we're going to be so spiritual, we won't be eating anymore, nothing. No drinking, no shawarma, no falafel, no nothing. Right? You're going to have to bring something else next time. Not going to be, right? That's the idea. So that's what the Gemara says also, by the way, right? What are they going to do in Olam Haba? What are they doing in Olam Haba? Right, that's the question, right? What are they doing in Olam Haba? What's the business over there? What do they do over there, right? They watch cable TV, they do internet. What's going on? World Cup, right? Whatever. What are they doing over there? Super Bowl. What are they doing over there, right? So the Gemara says, right? They're not going to be eating. They're not going to be drinking, right? No sexual activity with their wives. None of that stuff, right? All the pleasures of the world now, right? All these things, right? So-called pleasures. So the only thing it's going to be basically is the Shekhinah, Kadosh Baruch Hu, teaching people Torah. Everybody's going to be gathering around, and Hashem will be directly teaching them Torah. The pleasure of that is so great. It's great. It's 60 times more pleasurable than anything in this world. The pleasure, of this.
So
yeah.
in those moments, there will be no more children, no more.
There will be children. There will be children. There are going to be new souls coming in, right? The Zohar Kadosh says. It's gonna be normal way, but like miraculous, like it was at Adam Rishon. One day he gave birth to two sons. One day, the first day he was made. Next day he already had two sons. Things like this. Then they're gonna live forever. They're not gonna die. So
even during that time, he had intercourse with his wife.
Right? Yeah, sure. He got the Gan Eden. He had.
So
Right, Gan Eden. He had. But in Olam Haba, they say, right, it's gonna be even higher than that. No more intercourse. None of that stuff.
If there's no more intercourse, how the kids are gonna come?
Hashem will take care of that. Don't worry. Right? Use your imagination. Right? Right. Exactly. So, right. To sum it up, right? What does that mean? That there will be certain holidays left over, certain holidays not left over. What all these things, right? As we talked about that. But for sure, right, there's not going to be any fast days, like fasting, things like this. I don't think there's going to be concept like fasting. Why? Because no, I'm fine, thank you.
No?
No, fine. So you know why? Because there's no sin. So what's the point of fasting? So everything will be falling into place, but it's going to become more spiritual as time goes on. This is the idea. Okay, whatever. So getting back to what we said, right? That Amalek, right? In order for all these things to happen, first of all, Amalek has to be blotted out. Otherwise, it has to be blotted out. It has to be, nimchak.
Okay.
Has to be wiped out. Otherwise, the kingdom of Hashem cannot be established in this world. So therefore, this is the reason why we read Parashat Zachor. Right? So therefore, it's very important to hear every word. You come, make sure, right? Also, I always tell people, last year I was here in the outside reading, not the inside, right? I was here on the outside. And he was reading over here, and he started to read. I said, wait a second, stop. I said, first announce that we're doing now Parashat Zachor. And this to have in mind, we're going to be doing now mitzvah deoraita from the Torah. You have to have in mind that you're doing the mitzvah. So first, the Chazan, the Baal Koreh, should announce that, right? Now we're coming to read Parashat Zachor. This is from the Torah. So have that in mind. I have you in mind. You have me in mind, right? And we're doing the mitzvah together in unison in one shot. So make sure you hear every word of that, right? Because otherwise, right, it's no good. It's not complete.
In this Haftarah of Parashat Zachor, the person that bought buying this Haftarah,
Yeah.
here it's more important, or it's the same?
Well, it's good for the shul. The money coming in.
I'm not talking about the shul. I'm talking about the
Yeah.
person that is buying.
It's good. Everything is good. I can't tell you something, unusual or whatever. I don't know if that's the case, but it's always good to buy aliyah. It's a nice thing to do. They say, by the way, that when a person goes for aliyah, his neshama becomes elevated. So they say, Moreinu Rabbeinu, Maran, my rabbi, told us that a person should go for aliyah at least once a month, minimum. Right? If you go more, harazim meshubach. It's good. Baruch Hashem. More, right? Kol mosif, mosifim lo. Right? That's good.
You talking about Shabbat or any?
That's any day, right? Whatever it is, you should go at least one aliyah every month, right? Why is that? Because they elevate him. The Zohar Kadosh talks about this. How a person goes for an aliyah, they give him like elevation. I want to tell you something, by the way, how the rabbi believed in this. He believed in this very strongly. You know how I know? Because he used to go for the aliyah every time that we read the Torah. Never missed.
Well, every Shabbat, you mean?
Every day.
Wow.
Every day. Monday, Thursday, Shabbat, morning, mincha, everything. He
Wow.
never missed aliyah anytime.
Wow.
You understand? So he held very strongly by this personally, He was very into it. He wasn't paying for that, It was coming for free. It was his shul, whatever it was. You know what they used to do, by the way? You want to know a nice trick? You guys have to know these things, right? You have to know these tricks, right? You know what they used to do to make money for the shul? What they would do is the rabbi used to go up on Shabbat for maftir always. That was his favorite for some reason, right? Even though according to Kabbalah, by the way, Aliyah Shishit, the sixth Aliyah is the best according to Kabbalah, right? Number 6 is the best. So people usually pay more for that one than the other ones. You know what I mean? The Ashkenazim hold the Shlishi is the better, but we call it Kabbalah. The Shishi is better according to Kabbalah. That's the way it is, right? But the rabbi used to go for maftir for some reason. Every time he went for maftir, right? So what they used to do is, on the holidays, whatever, like let's say Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Tov, all these things. What they would do is, right, the Gabbai would announce, right? Okay, the rabbi is going up to do the haftarah, right, to the maftir. How much is somebody willing to pay for him to go up? Wow. They used to make money.
Nice.
You understand? So they would say, $1,000, $2,000, whatever, just for him to go up.
In dollars?
Yeah. In on the high holy days over there, they were doing everything in dollars. You know why? Because the Syrians were coming from Brooklyn. You know what I mean? So Syrians, you cannot play with them with shekels. You're degrading their stature. You know what I mean? Interesting. Okay, interesting. Very interesting. There must be a reason for that, right? For something. Very interesting. There must be a reason, right? For whatever it is. He didn't tell us what the reason was, but whatever. But anyway, it's interesting, right? So a person who goes up for the maftir, okay, fine. But the truth is, right, that a person who reads the Torah now, I don't care about who paid for the maftir, right? Whether it was this guy or, this guy, Petre, Pablo, whatever, I don't care. The question is who's reading, right? That's the question. You know what I mean? Why? Because he has to be somebody who's expert. You cannot put up some amateur now, amateur guy, to read now. Some kid, just got out of, just became bar mitzvah. Okay, you read you're gonna read for the whole tzibur, the Parashat Zachor. We're gonna depend on you, some little kid. It's to be somebody who's expert. You know what I mean? Sometimes the kids are also expert. But usually they're not.
So the Rabbi, the Rav over there was reading by himself.
Yeah, when he was younger, he was the Baal Koreh always. He was reading the Torah by himself. He was also when he was young, he was also a Chazan as well. He was doing the Chazanut as well. Also, once he got older, started doing less and less. A little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less. That's the way it was. So anyway, the point is right that it has to be somebody who's expert. By the way, you should know that the Rabbi Alav Shalom, he never let a bar mitzvah kid to read the Parashat Shavua for Shabbat. Never. Why? Why is that? Because you know that they're not expert. They're going to make 100 mistakes. You know what I mean?
That some of them they read by half.
That's also true. Right. That's very good. Very good. Yeah. That's the idea. Yes. They memorize it. Yeah.
It's better not to give them.
Right. So the rabbi never gave them to read the bar mitzvah. Never. It was always somebody who was expert reader.
So every Shabbat you have the same guy.
No. There was a few guys that were very expert. These guys were like 100%.
Wow.
You can't mess with them. You know what I mean? If they make one mistake, it's like a sharuria, like a scandal.
Wow.
Oh, one mistake they made. Oh my God. That's the way it was. I'm serious. I'm not exaggerating. That's the way it was. 100%. No compromises. That's the way it was. There was his son, by the way, David, who was also very good at that. And there was also his grandson, Ovadia. Grandson he was an excellent reader. There was also other guys over there. There was Moshe Chabusha used to come sometimes. There was also the Chazan. Yeah, Moshe Chabusha is top notch. Best Chazan in the world.
I put him in Pesach one time in New Jersey. And he read.
Really?
Whoa,
he's the best. Nobody like him. Yeah, he has a voice. I want to tell you something really funny, right? This guy,
sometimes they're taking him.
Right. I heard he even went to Russia one time, for high holidays. There's now a Sephardi community there in Moscow, so he went over there to be, whatever. So this guy, how good he is. This guy, he's like he can like tear your heart out, like he makes you so emotional, you want to cry, So and he's very professional also, like extremely professional, perfect, like no mistakes, no.
You know how is the Lechadodi?
Yeah, everything is perfect. By the way, actually, you also hear how he did the shofar. The shofar, but the way he did the shofar. Moshe Chabusha. His shofar was 100% perfect. Like no blemishes. You know what I mean? Everything 100%.
So he was reading for Arav Ovadia?
For the high holidays used to come. You know what I mean? Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, and sometimes he would also drop in. Surprise him sometimes. He didn't live in that neighborhood. He lived in a different neighborhood. So he had to walk, on Shabbat like half hour to come over there. Bet Yisrael, he lives in Bet Yisrael, something like that. So Har Nof is like half hour walk from Bet Yisrael. So, sometimes he used to come. I'll tell you something really funny, right? One time he came, Moshe Chabusha, and he did Musaf on Shabbat. We were there. So he comes in, and the rabbi sends him, okay, go to Moshe Chabusha. Habusha. So it happens like this, right? That he does Musaf, and it was like really beautiful, very emotional. I was like, wow! Everybody was like blown away by this. So when the Musaf ended, right? So he went to the rabbi to kiss his hand. Like the rabbi Chachmeb. So he went to the rabbi, kiss his hand like this. So the rabbi was so moved by the Musaf that he did. So he gave him like a big slap, on the face, like this. He surprised him, he almost knocked his head off. I remember. He was so moved by it, he almost, he was a very strong man, the rabbi was like a tank, tankiho, So it's like it was unbelievable. But getting back to what we said, right? Anyway, so Rabbi, that Parashat Zachor has to be read by an expert, somebody who's an expert reader. Everything 100%, and also you have to prepare. By the way, just don't come in ad hoc. I'll read it. What do you mean saying? Damzadeh? Did you prepare or not? You didn't prepare? What kind of business is it, right? They say, by the way, that Rabbi Akiva, there's a story in the Gemara I brought now, that one time they told him, Rabbi, read the Tikrata and the Torah. Right, he refused to go.
Because he don't repeat this
right.
before.
So what happened was, they asked him, Rabbi, why don't you want to read? The Gdolah Dor, Gdolah Chachamim. They said, by the way, Rabbi Akiva, how great he was? You want to know? Just, to lesaber to ozen a little bit, to make you understand. Who was Rabbi Akiva? Akiva was the greatest of the greatest. Nobody was like him. How great was he? The Midrash says, right, two things about Rabbi Akiva. Right. Okay. Now you want to hear something amazing? They say, first of all, right, Moshe Rabbeinu, as you said, is true. They also they say there was somebody else also that was surprised by him. You know who it was? Adam Harishon. They say that Kadosh Baruch Hu showed to Adam Harishon Rabbi Akiva. He says, this is going to be one of your descendants. You see him? This is going to be this guy, right? So he saw how great he was in Torah, and he's praised Hashem. He says, "Wow, one of my sons is going to be like this." Wow, he himself was the greatest Chacham Adam Rishon. You know what I mean? So can you imagine? He was impressed with Rabbi Akiva so much. He learned from Torah from Hashem himself, Adam Rishon, and he was impressed by Rabbi Akiva, who learned on his own. You know what I mean? On his own, he made the chidushim. So
he was his rabbi.
that's true, right? It's true. He had rabbis, so for sure, no question about it. But what I'm saying is that he was mechadesh and many things on his own, intellect. They say, right, there used to be the crowns on the letters of the Torah. He used to learn from there also halachot. Right, exactly, right? Many halachot like that he used to learn. Can you imagine who can do such a thing like this? They say that Adam Rishon was totally blown away by this guy. And also Moshe Rabbeinu, right, was blown away, as we said, right, by him. He saw Rabbi Akiva, so he told the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Can you imagine? Right, that's the interesting thing. It's exactly what you're saying, right? So they say that Adam Rishon, on the one hand, he was very happy because he had a descendant like this, Rabbi Akiva. So, wow, But he says when he saw what his end is, he's going to be killed like as a martyr by the Romans. So then he was like, grieved. So he said to Kadosh Baruch Hu, why such a person like this should die like that? Well, what's the reason, right? So they say, right, that Moshe Rabbeinu asked a different question. What his question was about Rabbi Akiva? He said, if you have a great rabbi like this, he says, why did you give the Torah with me? You should give it with him. You know what I mean? What's the point of giving it through me? Because this guy's better than me. I got the Torah from you, but this guy doing it himself. Who's better, me or me? He's a scholar. He's more of a scholar than me. I got a spoon feed. It's not the same thing. So okay, fine. So they say, right, Rabbi Akiva, how great he was. Okay, so you know what that means? People like this, how great they were? They knew the whole Torah by heart. For them, nothing was, everything was in memory, like a microfilm, like a PDF. Everything's organized. You want to know, by the way, how great was Moreno Rabbeinu, Maran Ovadia, my rabbi. You know how great he was? He told his son, Rabbi Yitzchak, he said that when I was 30 years old, I already knew the Talmud like by heart like that. I had like everything microfilm. I could go page by page in my mind. Not for graphic memory. He didn't like when people said this. You know why? Because he learned everything at least 70 times before he, you understand? Every book that he learned, he said, I go over it 70 times at least.
7 times?
70 times. 70, right, 70 times. So he didn't really have a photographic memory. But what he was, that he was very vehement. He was adamant.
Because they say if you go 101,
right.
Everything you can remember.
Yes. So can you imagine something like this, right? That the rabbi, he himself knew the Talmud like this, page by page, like medafdif, just like looking in the sky, like that. That's the way he was, the rabbi. So. This is unbelievable. Right? It's really unbelievable. It's true. It's really unbelievable. So Rabbi Akiva, can you imagine how much more he was than this? He was even more than that. So if that's the case, right, I ask you a question, right? Why did he refuse to read the Torah? Well, he doesn't know the Torah by heart, right? They say, by the way, that if a person doesn't have a Sefer Torah, so how do you write one? You have to copy it over from a different one, an existing one. You can't just do it, like from your own mind, write it down. Even though if you have a good very memory, still you're not allowed to do that, right? Can you imagine? You have to copy over from a kosher Sefer Torah, word by word. That's the only way to do it. They say one time, right, there was a place, Rabbi Meir went over there, right? Rabbi Meir was also in the time of Rabbi Akiva, right? In the same, right? Yes. So what happened was, right, that Rabbi Meir, one day they say he went to a certain country, certain city. Over there was no Sefer Torah. So he wanted to read the Torah. So you know what he did? He wrote a Sefer Torah by heart. Because there was no choice. There was no Torah with it, So they say, right, if a person knows that good, and there's no other Sefer Torah to copy from, he's allowed to write from by heart. He wrote it by heart. That's what he did. You know what I mean?
You can do the same thing with Megillat Esther?
For sure, yeah. Kal v'chomer, right? Kol sheken, right? Kol sheken. If there's no choice, you know what I mean? There's no choice.
No,
you have to copy it over. Yeah, you have to copy it over. Yeah, for sure, yeah. Yeah. Right. You have to copy it over. Sure. No question about it. You cannot do Baal Peh. Right? Because this is Torah Shebichtav. You know what I mean? Torah Shebichtav has to be copied over. It cannot be done Baal Peh. You know what I mean? So, Rabbi Akiva, can you imagine? He must have known the same way as Rabbi Meir, right? No less, right? So then, why didn't he want to read the Torah? Well, he doesn't know how to read. Well, he doesn't remember how to read it. But nevertheless, right, he wants to keep the halakha. That if you don't prepare it, he didn't want to read it without preparing. Can you imagine? So all the more so, right? Kal v'chomer, b'noshe kal v'chomer. Us, you know what I mean? That we're in this generation, we don't know nothing by heart. Everything is like, coming here, going out there. We're like, we barely know Kriyat Shema by heart. You know what I mean? Barely. Even that's barely. Whatever. So I mean, what business do we have, right, to do things by heart? So what does that mean, right? That a person who's not on the level of these great rabbis, for sure, he has to prepare, make sure he prepares everything. You know what I mean? That you don't make any mistakes. Everything has to be done the proper way. And everything according to the custom of the community, right? Every community has their custom. There's Sephardi, there's Ashkenazi, right? Everybody reads according to their customs. And that's the way it is, right? They're not going to read like us, and we're not going to read like them, So you have to make sure you read like your custom, right? We already talked about this inside, right? About that. We talked about that, how that there are actually many Ashkenazi authorities, three of them that I mentioned, right? That they say that the accent of the Sephardim is more accurate than the Ashkenazim. You know what I mean? So therefore, there's no reason for any Sephardi guy to start reading like Ashkenazi way. Like, what are you trying to do? For them, that's their custom. That's fine. Okay. But for you, this is not your custom. So actually, you're doing a downgrade according to what we just said. You understand? You're downgrading.
You can do that also, no?
Huh?
You can do that. You are not allowed to change your nosach.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? Yeah, but there are some who don't change the nusach, but they change the pronunciation. You know what I mean? They do like a miftah, the accent of the Ashkenazim. This is not allowed to do, especially in a Sephardi shul. You have to come, you have to do everything, Sephardi way, right? For sure. They say, by the way, you want to know how far this goes? The Shulchan Aruch says that if a person is a kohen, is doing Birkat HaKohanim, right, going up. So they say that if he doesn't know how to pronounce the words properly, he's not allowed to do Birkat HaKohanim. It says in Shulchan Aruch.
The kohen?
Yeah, the kohen. Yeah. What does that mean? Ayin, he says Aleph. Aleph, he says Ayin. Interchanges them. He doesn't know how to do this one, doesn't know that one. There's a difference between Ayin and Aleph, right? There's a difference. One is in the throat, one is in the mouth. Not the same thing. This one is deep, this one is shallow, right? All these things, right? So a person has to know these things. There's also other letters also as well. There's Het and Chaf, right? There's a difference. Het is in the throat, Chaf is in the mouth, right? There's also Kuf and Kaf, right? Not the same thing. Kuf is much deeper. Ko. And Kaf is more like American, like a soft sound.
So if you have a coin that is a megamgem, so you can make the.
Well, Megangem is a different issue, right? I wasn't referring to that really, right? To be honest with you, what I'm saying is that if he doesn't know how to pronounce the words properly, right? It doesn't say that if he's Megangem, he cannot go up. Why? Because if he eventually will say it good, it's okay. You know what I mean? Even though he make a mistake, you have to do it again. Whatever. But since they do it very slow, it's not really a big chashash of Megangem. You know what I mean? They do it very slow. So it's not really a problem. Usually, Megangem, Gimgum usually happens when you do it very fast. You know what I mean? The stuttering. He's talking about stuttering. You know what I mean? So when you talk fast, you stutter usually.
What about if the coin is, let's say, missing one hand or one leg?
Things like this you're talking about. So the truth is, right, that they cannot do the avodah when you have these things. Right? I think they're allowed to do. Yeah, if I remember correctly. Yes. Only the avodah they cannot do. Right, the sacrifices they cannot do. Right. Yes. But they're allowed to eat the kochim. Right, they're allowed to eat. But they're not allowed to actually do the avodah itself, right? The service of Bet HaMikdash. Okay, whatever. So anyway, get back what we said, right? That everybody has to do everything properly. What does that mean? That make sure you hear this. What about the women, as we said, right? Getting back to the women, we got off of that topic, right? But right. So according to the Chinuch, Sefer HaChinuch, as we said, right, that the mitzvah of Parashat Zachor is not time bound by the Torah. It's only time bound by the rabbis. The rabbis made a time for it. So what does that mean? This is the reason why many poskim say, Rabbi Natan Adler, right, who was the rabbi of Chatam Sofer, he says that they have to come to hear the Parashat Zachor, the women. You know why? Because it's not time bound. As we said, right? According to the Torah, you can say it all year round. So therefore, Torah didn't exempt them from this. So therefore, a woman should try to come, because of this. Because there are also many poskim who agree with this rabbi. They say like him. They say they should come. Moreinu Rabbeinu, Alav Shalom, Ravadia, he also writes, right, the proper thing to do, that women should also come. You know what I mean? If they can. If they're taking care of their children, that's something else. Okay, they cannot get out. Okay, maybe they can get a babysitter or whatever, but if they can come, the proper thing to do is to come. But if they cannot come, so they rely on the chinuch. Because the chinuch says they're not obligated, right? It's machlokets between these two sides. What's the reason why the chinuch says it's not obligated? We just said it's not really time bound. So why they're not obligated? So you know what the chinuch says? The reason is because it's what's the whole point of reading the Parashat Zachor? To remember to make a wage a war against Amalek, right? So it's not the derech of women. It's not the way of women to make wage war. This is the reason why he says. You know, they're not a part of that. They're not involved in wars. Women, you know. By the way, you should know that there's a halacha about this also, that a woman is not allowed to bear arms, you know, to carry a gun because of this. Why? Because this is the way of men. You know what I mean? So since it's not the way of women to carry guns and
pants also,
right,
it's a man.
Yes, right, exactly. Right, pants is a little bit different. If it's women's pants, it's a different story, right? A little bit. Right? You know, if it's shaykh to women, the pants. So that mitzvah is not really shaykh. It's not right. Lotisa, right? So anyway, lotil bash, right? Lotil bash. So anyway, the point is that according to the chinuch, it's not the way for women to wage wars. So therefore, they don't have to come and hear that. They're not a part of that mitzvah. That's what he's trying to say, right? So now, what's halacha? We have two different sides. So the truth is, it's not so clear what the halacha is, right? Nobody really here, right, marked down really, like, you know, heavy duty, to say, okay, you know, the halacha is like this. On the one side, as we said, right, the chinuch is a rishon. He's the earlier authorities. So he has more weight than these rabbis, these other rabbis. So maybe the halacha should be like him. On the other hand, the majority of the rabbis don't say like that. The rov, you know, the majority is against him. So therefore, on the other hand, right, there's also the issue of, you know, following the majority as well. So, you know, both sides, whatever. So, therefore, the Rabbi of Shalom, Moren Rabbeinu, he paskind, he decided that a woman should try to come if she can. If she can't come, she's going to rely on this, right, on this leniency of the chinuch. You know what I mean? As we said also, that if she can't come for some reason, so she can also come to hear it before Rosh Hashanah, right? When is that? Before Rosh Hashanah, they're going to read it again. With the Parsha Shavua, the regular Parsha Shavua, right? Where is that in Kitisa, right? Right? Kitetze, I'm sorry, Kitetze, right? Kitetze. So Kitetze is where the Parshat Amalek is written over there in the end, Parshat Zachor. So when he's going to come and hear that, Kitetze, yeah, right, Kitetze. We'll check it out later, right? We'll check it. So what we're saying is that that's going to be right before Rosh Hashanah in Chodesh Elul. So you can come and tell the Baal Koreh, you know what? I'm gonna now fulfill the mitzvah of Parshat Zachor. So I want you to have me in mind to do the mitzvah deoraita, because he's not gonna have you in mind otherwise. He's not gonna remember that, right? He's gonna be thinking about something else. He's gonna be thinking about going home and eating cholent, right? Whatever, you know, eating chamin, you know, whatever. He's not gonna be thinking about that. So you have to tell him that. You have to tell him, listen, you know, have us in mind. There are some people who missed it before, so now we're gonna do it with you now. So he's gonna have you in mind. He's gonna read the maftir, right? And he's gonna fulfill your obligation at that time. So there's also that option, right? If you missed it now, also for the men, by the way, this works. Not only for the women. It's also the men. If they missed it, they can also do it now, right? There's also the other option is what? That they can also do an afternoon reading on Shabbat. What does that mean? That the men will hear it in the morning, and the women who could not come in the morning, they're going to come in the afternoon before Mincha, right? Stand up over there in the Ezrat Nashim, and the Baal Koreh will get up, take out the Sefer Torah, right?
And read for them specially.
Right, read for them specially, right? With no bracha, right? No Baruch Hashem al-Barach, no Tena Torah, no nothing, right? Just take it out, open it up, and start reading, right? Zachor, right? That's it. No magividness, right? Straight ahead to the mitzvah. Right. Right. The truth is that you know probably why they don't do it, because the women don't come anyway. You know what I'm saying? Who are you doing it for? For the walls? You know, nobody's coming. I don't see anybody coming over here for that. You know, if they were coming, the rabbi would do it. Why not? You know, if they tell him, listen, we want to do it, he'll do it. He's not cheaper with his with his Torah reading, right? So he's gonna do it. What's the problem? You know, but you have to inspire. You know, sometimes the rabbi pushes the tzibur. Sometimes tzibur has to push the rabbi. You know what I mean? To push each other a little bit. A little this way, a little bit that way, right? And this way we get everything done, right? Whatever. The rabbi, believe me, if you tell him to do it, he'll do it. Just you have to get right. You know, that's it. That's no question. There's no. It takes 30 seconds. Right, yeah, for home, right? That's the question. Because nobody comes from Mincha, you know what I mean? That's the women don't come. They come in the morning. So whoever came in the morning, they heard it already in the morning. If they know what they're doing, right? Whatever, they understood what they're doing. Whatever, as we said, right? Mitzvot zichot kavanah. You have to have intention to do the mitzvah. Just because you heard it, that's not enough. You have to know that you're doing the mitzvah.
So before the rabbi reads, we have to think to ourselves.
Right, I'm doing the mitzvah, right? Yes. Right. So this is why he has to announce it, right? To remind you of that. That's the whole idea. Right. The Baal Koreh, the reader, yeah, whatever, yeah. Or the rabbi or the reader, somebody's got to do it, right? Somebody's got to say it. The rabbi, whatever it is, right? Okay, so that's the idea. So this is Parashat Zachor. Very, very important mitzvah. Make sure we do it, right? Okay, Bezat Hashem, Gam Shen Yitzchalobit, whatever. So talk about Zecher Lemachatzit Hashekel, right? There's also some interesting halachot about that. What does that mean? First of all, right? This is what's the idea? It says in the Mishnah in Masechet Shkalim, right? It says over there in the Mishnah that there's a special mitzvah every year that we bring shkalim, right? Chatzi shekel, Machatzit Hashekel, to the Bet HaMikdash when the Bet HaMikdash was built. So everybody used to bring it, right? And this was like a silver coin, right? Half a shekel, whatever. So each one used to put, and they used to bring them from their sacrifices, right? So this was the idea, right? For the Bet HaMikdash. So this is a very great mitzvah. Says the Mishnah that it's done in Chodesh Adar, right? In the month of Adar. What does that mean? You can bring it also from the beginning of the month, or even at the end of the month, also before Nisan. Or the whole month is kosher for that.
Now
right?
it's Adar already? Or
Yeah, we're already in Adar. Yeah, we're Adar Bet. We're doing the second Adar, right? We got two Adars because it's a leap year. So we have to. It says in the Mishnah you can bring in the Chodesh Adar, but the mitzvah, the custom is what? Because now we don't have Bet HaMikdash. So it's not really Machatzit Hashekel. It's not the real thing. What does that mean? The real thing is only Bet HaMikdash is existing. Now we're just doing it as a remembrance, right? As a zecher, to remember, right? To remember. So what does that mean? That it's not the actual thing. Therefore, we're not using this for sacrifices. We're using it for tzedakah, for charity. This is the idea, So this custom, by the way, they say it's a very important custom, even though it's not really halakha. There's no such a thing like this in the Talmud that we have to do this or whatever. It's a custom. It's a minhag. But they say, on the other hand, this is a very important minhag. Why is it a very important minhag? They say that, as we said, right, that when Tanit Esther comes along, the fast of Esther, so the Kitrug, right, the accusation against the Jews repeats itself every year, like the Haman wanted to exterminate them. So therefore, right, they say in the Gemara that since HaKadosh Baruch Hu knew that Haman al-Rasha is going to weigh out the shkalim, right, the silver, not the shkalim, but the silver coins to Achashverosh to bribe him to kill the Jews, to exterminate the Jews. That's what he did, right? He brought him money for that. He paid him for that. He didn't get it for free, right? So he told him, he said, I'm paying you, right, to have the right to exterminate the Jews. So in the end, by the way, Achashverosh told him, I don't want your money, keep it, you can do it anyway, I'm a rich man, don't worry, I don't need your money. Go do your job, whatever you want to do, and that's it, keep the money too, right? They say that since the accusation of Haman came with money, with silver, so therefore, right, Kadosh Baruch Hu made this mitzvah in order to precede his accusation. What does that mean? We're going to give the silver first before he does, and therefore we're redeeming ourselves as if, to make a redemption of his accusation, which comes every year. It repeats itself every year like that. You know what I mean? So therefore they said, right, come and bring it at this time, right before Purim. You know what the custom is? The poskim say the custom is to do it like on Tanit Esther, right? Mincha time. You know what I mean? Like when you come to pray Mincha, Tanit Esther, right before Purim, right before the Megillah, they have these big baskets, pans, and you put it in there, right? Everybody comes and shoves it in there. And this is what we do, right? In order to avoid the accusation. This is the customary time to do it. That we should precede the accusation of Haman, right? That his plan shouldn't take effect, right? We should thwart his plans through giving of the money to in this area. So the question is like this, right? So how do we do this mitzvah? So we talked about this inside, right? We talked about it a little bit, but since we talked about it, I already clarified now. They asked that when we talked about this inside, they were asking me like, how much is it worth now, or how much you have to give? You know what I mean? So I wasn't really sure, to be honest with you. Why? Because I didn't research it at that time. What does that mean? I'll explain to you what that means. That this goes according to the value of silver. How much silver is worth, every gram, every ounce, whatever it is, right? The way they weigh it. So this fluctuates. It goes up and down all the time. 1 week it could be like this, next week is like that. Everything is something else. So what does that mean, right? This is the reason why a person should only make this calculation right before the time. Why? Because it's going to be more accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to do it 2-3 weeks before, it could also change already.
Yeah.
You understand?
But what about this? They said that the Machatzit Hashekel also it's the country that you live. And the head Machatzit Hashekel, you can use this, and it's also
right. I'm going to explain that to her. That's a good question, right? So yes.
So like $50.
Yes.
You use $50 in
Right.
America.
Absolutely. So I want to tell you, right, regarding this, that since we're doing it only as a zecher, as a remembrance, it's not the real thing. To ward off the influence of Haman's, accusation against us, which repeats itself every year. That's why we fast, as we said, right? That's the reason why we fast. So bringing the money is also a way to ward it off. Fasting, you have the money, right? All these things, all the mitzvot that we're doing. So with that, right, we avert the foil the plans. So they say that you have to make sure, right, when you give the money for this mitzvah, don't say this is Machatzit Hashekel. Say Zecher. Why? Because if you say it's Machatzit Hashekel,
then you need to put exactly the value of the...
Something even worse than that, Shalom. You know worse than that? What happens is that when you sanctify something like that, you say this is Machatzit Hashekel, it requires a sanctity of Bet HaMikdash. You understand? It gets holiness to it. When you say that, you declare this is Machatzit Hashekel, that means now it's holy. You have to give it to Bet HaMikdash, and the Bet HaMikdash doesn't exist. So there's nothing you can do now. You're stuck, you know? You gotta destroy this money. You gotta, you know?
But the Knesset is a small Bet HaMikdash.
Right, but it's not the same thing. You know what I mean? Bet HaMikdash is like holy. You know, much greater than the Bet Knesset. You know what I mean? Bet HaMikdash has different rules altogether. There's Tuman, Tahara over there, all kinds of things. We don't have all those rules over here in the Bet Knesset. It's true. But it's not the same thing, and exactly, you know what I mean? It's much different. So the point is, right, they say that if you say that, Machatzit Hashekel, this is Machatzit Hashekel, that means you're sanctifying it and making it holy to Bet HaMikdash. This is no good. You don't want to do that, right? Then you're going to be, you know, stuck with this thing on your head, you know, what do you know what to do with it? You know what I mean? A big headache. So therefore they say we have to say Zecher, right? That's the idea, you know? It's only remembrance. Not that it's the real thing. You want to know, by the way, this also works for other things as well, this concept. I'll give you an example, right? The Gemara says, Masechet Nazir, that a person, you know, can become a Nazir. You know what I'm talking about. There's such a thing like this. A Nazirite. That means that he sacrifices himself to stay away from all kinds of things that usually people indulge in, like drinking wine, right? Also doesn't touch dead people, doesn't go to the cemetery, doesn't go to all these places over there, Main Street, doesn't hang around there. He has no business over there. He doesn't eat any grape products also, right? No grape products. Everything's like close to wine. No grapes, no this, no the grape soda, no kedem, grape juice, all these kinds of things. These things he's not allowed to touch. There's all kinds of things he cannot do. He also has to grow his hair, right? Cannot cut his hair. And the hair becomes holy also. It requires also sanctity. Right? This is called the Nazir. So they say...
What's the difference between Nazir and Nazirut and Shimshon?
You know what, Nazirut Shimshon is it's permanence for the whole life. Nazir, usually it's like a temporary thing. If you do say Stam Nazirut, you know, like if you without defining how much time are we talking about, right? How long are you going to do this? Right? All your life you're going to do it, right? So if we don't define the time, they say Stam Nazirut Shoshim Yom. It's 30 days, right? Yeah. So minimum is 30 days. You know what I mean? But Shimshon was for life, right? That's something else. That's a different thing, right? There are people like this. There was also Shmuel HaNavi. He was also for life. Also Avshalom, right? The son of David HaMelech. He was also for life. This is a special kind of Nazirut that they had, these kind of people. There's two of them, by the way.
They take it upon themselves?
Right, they took it upon themselves. But for Shimshon, it was decided from heaven, right? It was the angel came and told his parents, right? They have to be his whole life like that. That's the only way it is, right? He needed that, by the way. Without that, he couldn't function. And this is why when they cut his hair, he totally got wiped out. You know what I mean? That's what happened, because he was depending on that. That was the power source for that he had. So the point is like this, right? That Nazir, how do you cannot get out of Nazirut just with the time ending, though. You know, you have to also bring korbanot. You have to bring sacrifices as well. If you don't bring those sacrifices, you're not out of the Nazirut. You're still in. You know what I mean? When you finish it, you got to bring sacrifices. So the problem is like this, right? Today we don't have Bet HaMikdash. So how are you going to bring sacrifices? To who are you going to bring it? You're going to bring it to Abu Mazen, right? To Hezbollah. Who are you going to bring the sacrifices to? You know, to the Jordan Waqf. You're going to bring them.
There is no Nazirut.
You know what I mean? So that's the question, right? So you know what they say in Chazal, the Gemara says, right, that if a person does Nazirut in our times, it works. Because it works every time. But the problem is you can't get out. You're living for your whole life there. You understand?
You can't get out.
Right, you get in, but you can't get out, right? Right? They come in, but they don't get out. They don't get out. It's a one-way trip, right? Exactly. So you have to be careful also, never to say, Harani Nazir, I'm becoming Nazir. You want to become Nazir? Are you crazy? You're going to be all your life like that. You cannot get out until they build the Bet HaMikdash, right? You have to talk to Netanyahu. Maybe he's going to write. We talked about that on Tuesday, right? If he's going to build it, not build it, we're going to talk. We talked about that. Talk to him, maybe they'll build it. Right, so that's the idea, So same thing over here. When you say Machatzit Hashekel, that means you're giving it sanctity, like for the Bet HaMikdash. That's the reason why they say, make sure you say Zecher, don't say, don't.
So what's the correct way to do this? Zecher Lemachatzit?
I'll explain to you, right? So the question, there's also another question, which is, how much do we give, right? What's the amount? You know what I mean? So this fluctuates every year. Goes up and down according to the value of silver, right? So now, I just looked around today, I want to make sure that I get the latest price, you know what I mean? Sale price. So what's the sale price? It seems to be this year it's a little bit cheaper. The value of silver has gone down, right? For the last few years it seems. So therefore he's looking at me with a strange eye. Maybe you know something I don't know.
1420, now it's 15.
Right, but what I'm saying is we're talking about 5 years. So I'm not talking about the last few months, whatever. But what are you talking about when you say this?
The ounce.
Right, but what I'm saying is which time period are you talking about?
Last year, 2 years ago, it was in the,
very interesting.
in the 14.
Oh, okay, got you.
14th quarter.
Yeah.
Today is 1550.
Got it. But I'm talking about I'm talking about 5 years ago, 7 years ago, talking about something like that.
Last year, so anyway.
I wasn't referring to last year.
So how much is today?
But the point is, right, that they say that now the amount that we have to give, how many grams, by the way, of silver does it have to be? They say it's between 9 and 10 grams of silver you have to give. This coin, that's how much it was of silver, So it comes out that this is about the $5.60.
$6.
Okay,
Yeah.
$6.
Yeah, $6, right, rounded off, yes.
We're going to have 3 coins there. $6 each coin or altogether?
I'll explain to you, right? Let's first understand,
Why do we
right?
have 3?
That we have to give, this is the amount that you have to give, okay? So for who you have to give this, right? Especially for the adults. You know what I mean? Especially for you, for yourself.
It goes by the weight or...
So what does that mean? You don't have to, by the way, according to halakha, a person doesn't have to.
I'm talking about by the person's weight, not by
Sure.
the weight.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. So according to halakha,
100 pounds there.
you don't have to bring silver coins or anything like that. You can bring also bills, dollar bills, whatever. It doesn't make any
Yeah,
difference.
we do this 3 times.
I'll explain to you how that works.
How much?
So they say like this, right? That you got to bring your $6, whatever it is, right? But this is for the adults, right? For you at least. If you can also afford for your wife, that's also good. Give also for your wife, right? So bring $12, right? Now, what about the children? So they say, right, the children, it depends on your budget. If your budget allows you to bring for everybody, so bring for everybody $6.
Okay.
That's it,
The Zecher Lemachatzit Hashekel, you need to think about everybody.
I'll explain to you how it goes, right? So you got bring your $6 for everybody. Fine. If you're doing well, Baruch Hashem. They say, right, if you're not doing so well, a little bit tight, the budget is a little bit tight. So they say there's also another solution, right? This is what you were talking about before, which is what? That for yourself, bring the good amount, right? And why do I say good amount and bad amount? Because the truth is that there's a machloket in the poskim, right? According to the Rambam, this is the way it has to be done, right? It goes according to the weight of the silver. But there are also other poskim who say, no, you have to give a half of the bill which is in that country, right? So if you like $50, that's what you're talking about, right? There's also an opinion like that. So according to this opinion, you don't have to give $6, you have to give a $50, right? Right, that's the idea. So therefore, if you can afford to give for everybody $6, bring for the kids $50 each. Right, this is the way to do it. Right, if you're in Israel, you can even do half a shekel, right, which is even much less than that. It's like a quarter. That's even much less, right? So basically, right, this is the way to do it. If you're not so tight, money is a little bit tight.
Establish the price.
Right. That's the idea. Now, right. Also, there's another question, right? Are you obligated to give for all your children, or who are you obligated? So they say, right, the ones who are not married, you should give for them. You know what I mean? Because they're not giving, because they're a part of your family. They're living with you. They're in your household, so you should give for them. But the ones who are married, they have to give for themselves. You're not obligated for them. There's no. You could do it if you want, but I'm saying, right, the obligation is more for the people who live with you. Right? The people who are married, they have their own obligation. That's their own business. That's they can do whatever they want. But you should remind them. Try to be a nice guy. Good Jew. Good Samaritan. Tell them, you gotta give, whatever. If they can't give, okay, give for them. If you can, give, okay, why not? Be a good guy. Give for everybody, whatever. But the point is, right, that regarding what we asked about, what was the question you asked about?
How do you give?
Right, how do you give? Right. So the truth is, right, there is an opinion like this. As we said, right, according to halakha, you can just put dollars in there and that's it. No, that's not. You don't need more than that. Yeah.
3 coins. $6.
Forget about the coins. Bring the dollars, right? Bring $6, right? Put it in. According to halakha, that's it. You're done, right? It's not. You wanna. Right, but that's not really makev. It's not makev. That's your kavanah. You don't have to say it. You can say it. It's good. This is minhag. It's all minhagim. That's the right. That's the most important. Bring the cash. Just bring the cash. That's the halakha. If you did that according to halacha, yatzai yedei chova. That's it. You know, you don't have to say that thing. You put it in. You put it in. You know, Hashem knows why you're putting it there. It's a minhag. But there is such a custom like this, according to some poskim, right? According to Rabbi, he brings it down also, that a person should try to give this amount of money, six with 3 coins. What does that mean? Try to bring 3 coins that are worth $6. You know, do we have $2 coins, by the way, in America?
No.
There's only dollar coins. That's it. That's all we have. Okay, so we cannot do it, you know, with dollars. You know what I mean?
There's
But
a dollar coin.
is there $2 coin?
No, $2
No.
$2 coin, $1 coin.
Okay, so here we cannot do that. Okay, in America, but in Israel they can do it. You know why? Because in Israel it comes out to be 20 shekels. So therefore they can bring a 10 shekel coin and 2 5s. They have coins like that. You know, so they can do 3 coins and they're going to be 20 shekels. You understand?
These are really 20 shekel coins.
That's fine. Yeah. No, 10 shekels, 1 coin,
10 shekel.
and 2 5s.
Ah,
Understand?
okay.
So you have 3 coins.
Yeah.
This is the way to do it according to this opinion. According to this opinion, you bring like 10 shekels and 2 5s. Coins, right? But in America we cannot do that because we don't have such a coins like this. So therefore, right, we do the best we can. You know, the best to just bring whatever you want to bring. You know, and that's it.
So bring $6, do the coin 3 times.
You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. This is just whatever. You know, it's, yeah. I mean, this is all just nice game. You know, whatever. Backgammon. You know, not the. They give you right. They give you time to play a little bit. You know, whatever. The playground. It's good. You know. Okay. So I guess we should stop it here, right? We'll continue next time. We'll continue for laws of Purim, B'ezrat Hashem. So you got the idea more or less, right? We went very late, you know, because we have a lot of energy. Shalom brought us this good food. That's why we have a lot of energy, you know. So
No. Mission Zagibah, Rabbi Daket as Moas, Mo Risquelapes, Mele Moval, Rabbi Sabah, Mele Tawach, and that's the Risach. We are in business, Rabbi, right?